He was my best friend for over a decade, until he proposed at my wedding and stole the spotlight. I lost my big day and nearly our friendship. A year later, I stood up at his wedding and gave him a taste of his own medicine. I never thought I'd remember my wedding as the day I lost my best friend. It was supposed to be the happiest moment of my life. I'd spent a year planning this day with Emily, my now wife. Everything was carefully chosen, from the venue nestled in the Hudson Valley, to the playlist that Emily curated herself, to the food we spent 3 Saturdays taste testing until we agreed on the perfect balance of comfort and class. We had sunlight pouring through the windows during the ceremony, friends and family smiling in every direction, and Emily, God, she looked like something out of a dream in her dress. When she walked down the aisle, time really did stop. I teared up, not even embarrassed by it. That was our moment. Jason Miller, my best friend since college, stood by my side as my best man. The guy was practically my brother. We met in the grimiest dorm hallway you could imagine. I was struggling to carry a broken mini fridge, and he just picked up the other end without a word. Said, "Room 206? I nodded. That was it. We were best friends by the time the fridge hit the floor. We'd been through everything together. Failed exams, breakups, wild nights, first jobs, second chances. He was there when I proposed to Emily. He helped me plan it. He gave me the courage to actually go through with it. That's the kind of trust we had. So when he stood up to give his speech at the reception, I was relaxed, even excited. I thought he'd roast me, make everyone laugh, then maybe say something heartfelt about brotherhood and growing up. The usual best man stuff. He started off that way. Everyone was smiling, chuckling at some college story about me getting locked out of my dorm wearing nothing but a towel. Classic Jason, funny, charming, just the right mix of teasing and sincere. But then, something changed. His voice slowed, softened. "You know, love is funny," he said, glancing toward the head table where Chloe sat. Maid of honor, Emily's best friend since kindergarten. "Sometimes you see it in others and think, damn, I want that too." I felt my stomach twist. I could feel Emily shift beside me. Jason continued, "So, I hope you'll forgive me for this, but Chloe?" He turned toward her, got down on one knee. My brain struggled to catch up. This couldn't be happening. Not here. Not now. The entire room went dead silent. You could hear the clink of a single fork dropping on a plate in the back. Chloe gasped, covered her mouth with both hands. "Are you serious?" she squealed, already rising to her feet. Jason pulled out a small box, popped it open, and said it like it was the most romantic thing in the world. "Will you marry me?" She said yes. Of course she said yes. And then they kissed, right in front of everyone. At my wedding, people started murmuring. I saw my cousin shaking her head. Emily's aunt outright stood up and walked out. Someone, maybe one of Chloe's old coworkers, started clapping hesitantly, but it died off almost immediately. Then came the first flying drink, a glass of wine, smashed into the floor with their feet. Chloe flinched. Then another. A half-full beer bottle, open but not thrown. This one was walked up, deliberately poured over Jason's head by none other than my father, Frank Carter. He didn't yell. He didn't curse. Just looked Jason dead in the eye and said, "Guess you made your memory, huh?" Then turned and walked back to his table like nothing had happened. That was the spark. Suddenly, it was like a flash mob of rage. People shouting, others grabbing their drinks off the table, not to toast, but to weaponize. Wine, champagne, soda, a damn mimosa. I watched a rainbow of sticky liquids rain down on Jason and Chloe like divine judgment from an angry brunch god. Jason tried to shield Chloe. Chloe tried to run. Her off-white dress, yeah, off-white, don't think I didn't notice that when she walked down the aisle earlier, was stained with Merlot and shame. Her makeup smeared across her cheeks like war paint. And just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, Jason slipped. Right in the middle of the dance floor, wet with spilled beer, he slipped and landed flat on his back with a loud, humiliating thud. The DJ, poor guy, had frozen during all this. The soft instrumental wedding playlist was still looping in the background, ironically underscoring the chaos. I stood up. Emily grabbed my wrist. "Don't," she whispered. But I had to. I had to understand what the hell just happened. So I walked outside to where I'd seen Jason and Chloe run. They were by the parking lot, soaked, shivering slightly in the breeze, looking like wet cats who'd just been kicked off the porch. Jason turned when he saw me. "Hey, man, listen. You better have the most brilliant explanation in the goddamn world." He held up his hands like I was a cop about to arrest him. "Look, I didn't mean to take away from your day. I don't know. I wanted a beautiful memory too." That's what he said. I wanted a beautiful memory too. I stared at him, trying to find something. Remorse, shame, anything human in his face. But all I saw was this weird combination of defensiveness and disbelief. Like he couldn't comprehend why the world wasn't celebrating with him. "You hijacked my wedding," I said, voice trembling. "You didn't propose at the after party, or tomorrow, or literally any other time. You did it while I was still cutting the damn cake." Chloe sniffled behind him. She hadn't said a word yet. Her mascara had created raccoon circles around her eyes. Jason stepped forward. "I thought people would be happy for us." "You thought?" I snapped. "Did you think about me? About Emily? About anyone but yourself?" "We've been planning this for months," he mumbled. "You planned this?" That word made me see red. He nodded hesitantly. I was going to do it earlier, but then it just didn't feel right. Tonight felt right." "Tonight was mine," I said, quieter now. Not yelling, just hurt. "You took it. You stole something I'll never get back." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Come on, man. Don't throw away 10 years of friendship over this." But that was the thing. He threw it away the moment he knelt down and made my wedding about him. I didn't say anything else. I turned around, walked back inside, and told the DJ to pack it up. Later, Emily held my hand in the hotel room while I sat on the edge of the bed, still in my suit, staring at the floor. "Do you think you can ever forgive him?" she asked softly. I didn't answer. Because honestly, I didn't know. What I did know, though, was that something broke that night. And the person I used to call my best friend, he was gone. The morning after the wedding felt like a hangover without alcohol. Emily and I woke up in the hotel room, still in our clothes from the night before. The untouched wedding cake sat boxed up in the corner. Her veil was hanging off the bathroom doorknob like a forgotten scarf. Everything felt wrong. We didn't talk much that morning. Just held hands in silence as we packed up and checked out. She kissed my shoulder as I loaded the car and whispered, "Let's go home." And that's when the real fallout began. My phone lit up like a Christmas tree the second we hit the highway. Texts, missed calls, voicemails. "Jason, please, man, can we talk?" "Jason, I didn't mean for it to blow up like that." "Jason, you're my brother. I never wanted to hurt you." "Jason, Chloe's in tears. Everyone's mad at us. Can we just talk?" He even sent a picture of an old photo. Us at his college graduation, arms around each other, big goofy grins. He captioned it, "Don't throw this away." I didn't respond then. Emily, for her part, blocked Chloe that same day. No drama, no words, just a clean, quiet cut. "She made her choice," she said to me simply. "I'm done." But with Jason, she told me it was up to me. She never pressured me either way. Just said, "If you want to talk to him, I'll understand. But if you don't, well, I'll understand that too." It took me 3 weeks to answer him. I don't know what finally made me do it. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was that little whisper of loyalty still clinging on after a decade of friendship. Or maybe it was the part of me that wanted to look him in the eye and see if he truly understood what he'd done. We met at this quiet little cafe near the river. I got there early and sat by the window. I almost left before he arrived. But he showed up, late of course, wearing this sheepish smile like he thought we'd hug it out and everything would be fine. "Hey man," he said as he slid into the seat across from me. "Thanks for meeting me." I didn't say anything, just nodded. He jumped right in. "Look, I know I messed up. I do. I thought I was doing something romantic. I thought people would be happy for us. I didn't expect..." He stopped, then laughed awkwardly. "Well, I didn't expect your dad to beerboard me like it was a frat hazing." He chuckled. I didn't. "I get it now," he added quickly. "It was selfish. I made your day about me. But man, Chloe and I, we were caught up in the moment. We didn't plan it to hurt you." Caught up in the moment. That's what he kept saying, like this was some impulsive spark. But he told me they'd been planning it for months. "So which is it?" I asked quietly. "Was it a spontaneous thing? Or did you rehearse this in the mirror like a play?" Jason looked uncomfortable. "Okay, yeah, we talked about it. but only because I thought it'd be this big gesture. Something legendary. I thought, you thought, I cut in. Exactly. You never once thought about us, about what this would do to me. To Emily, you hijacked a moment we spent a year building, and you did it with a smile on your face? He looked down at his coffee. Didn't touch it. You know what hurts the most? I said. You didn't even say sorry. You just keep defending it. You're not sorry you did it. You're just sorry everyone got mad. That hit him. I saw it in his eyes. I am sorry, he said quietly. I didn't think I'd lose you over this. I nodded slowly. That was the last time we had coffee. After that, we texted a few more times, made a half-hearted attempt to keep in touch, grabbed a drink once or twice, but it was awkward, tense. Everything led back to the wedding. Every joke, every silence, every remember when. It was all colored by that night. I realized I didn't trust him anymore. Friendship doesn't survive without trust, without that unspoken understanding that some lines don't get crossed, that you protect each other's joy. Jason had crossed the line, danced on it really, and then acted surprised when the ground gave out beneath him. The final time we saw each other, it was accidental. Ran into him at a mutual friend's birthday party. We talked for maybe 5 minutes. Chloe was there too, standing across the room, avoiding eye contact with me and Emily. Jason tried to crack a joke about the wedding cake. I didn't laugh. That night, on the way home, Emily reached over and squeezed my hand. You don't have to carry that anymore, she said. If you're done, be done. And I knew in that moment I already was. But life had a funny way of circling back. Almost a year later, just as Emily and I were starting to feel like the world had shifted back to normal, an invitation showed up in our mailbox. Jason and Chloe were getting married. A fancy, cream-colored envelope, gold lettering, calligraphy font. A note at the bottom said, black tie optional, celebration of love mandatory. I stared at it for a full minute, not sure if I should laugh, rip it in half, or frame it for the irony. Emily was sitting beside me on the couch folding laundry. She glanced over and asked, "What's that?" I held it up. It's a joke, apparently. She walked over, read it, and blinked. They're inviting us? Seriously? Seriously, I said. Apparently, we're still considered worthy guests. Emily sat down and stared at the invitation like it might bite her. You're not actually thinking about going, are you? I didn't answer right away, because something inside me had already started turning, like a slow, deliberate gear catching in place. She sighed, folding another towel. If you want to go, I'll support you. But I won't lie. I don't want to see them, especially not celebrating themselves again. I looked over at her, at the woman who had her wedding hijacked, who never once complained about it, who handled the chaos with more grace than anyone deserved to have to muster. And then I looked down at her stomach. Our baby. Finally. We hadn't told anyone yet. We were waiting until we got through the first trimester. It felt like this quiet, sacred joy we were holding between us. Until that moment. Maybe we'll go, I said slowly. And maybe we give them a memory too. She tilted her head. What kind of memory? I smiled. A beautiful one. The wedding was at some overpriced vineyard upstate, one of those rustic chic places with string lights, wood beams, and a floral budget that could feed a small town. Jason was in a white tux. Chloe wore a gown that looked suspiciously similar to Emily's from our wedding, just with more sparkles. She clutched her bouquet like it was her ticket to a new life, one she didn't feel entirely comfortable in. I could tell her smile didn't reach her eyes. We sat quietly during the ceremony. Polite applause, silent sips of champagne. People recognized us. Some avoided eye contact, others gave us small nods. I knew what they were thinking. They actually came. And then came the reception, that inevitable moment. Jason grabbed the mic. I just want to thank everyone for being here, he said. You've all helped shape Chloe and me into the people we are today, and we are so honored to share this moment with all of you. I leaned over to Emily and whispered, You ready? She nodded once, a hand resting gently on her belly. I stood up. Hey, I called out, just loud enough to draw attention. Mind if I say something? Jason blinked. Sure. Yeah, of course. I took the mic, stepped up onto the little stage where the DJ was standing, and looked out at the room. Thanks for having us here, I began. We weren't sure if we were going to come, after everything. But I'm glad we did. Jason looked uneasy now. Chloe reached for his arm. Because it turns out, sometimes revisiting the past can remind you how far you've come, I continued, and how beautiful the future can be. I paused. Emily and we're expecting our first child. Gasps, hands clapped to mouths, chairs shuffled. A few people clapped, unsure if it was appropriate. Jason's mother started to cry in the corner. Jason stood frozen, jaw clenched, eyes wide, like he'd just been slapped with a snow shovel. I smiled and held up my glass. To new beginnings, I said, and then I handed the mic back to the DJ, who looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. Jason stormed over. What the hell was that? He hissed, eyes narrowed, barely keeping his voice down. You really couldn't let me have this? I shrugged. I thought you said moments should be shared. His face turned red. You're unbelievable. And you're a hypocrite, I said quietly. The difference is, I waited until the reception. You didn't even let me cut the cake. He opened his mouth, closed it again. Chloe was still at the table, her face pale. She didn't come over. I looked at him one last time. You taught me a valuable lesson, Jason. Moments don't just belong to the people who plan them. Sometimes they get rewritten. And then I turned and walked back to my wife. My real celebration, my forever. We stayed for 20 more minutes, long enough for people to congratulate us, for Emily to smile graciously, for the buzz of our news to drown out anything else Jason had planned. Then we quietly left, and as I closed the car door and pulled away from that overpriced vineyard, I felt it. Closure. But the story wasn't over just yet. I didn't hear from Jason for a long time after his wedding. Not a text, not a call, no reaction on social media. Nothing. For a while, it was like he'd vanished completely, which honestly suited me just fine. After everything, after the damage he did to my wedding, to our friendship, to Emily's trust in people, it felt right that we drifted apart in silence. I focused on what mattered. Emily's pregnancy, doctor appointments, holding her hand in the ultrasound room while we watched tiny limbs squirm on the monitor, painting the nursery, reading baby books, feeling like life had finally stepped out of the shadow he cast over us. Then the baby came, a girl. We named her Sophie. Jason never reached out, but people talked. It started small, mutual friends mentioning that Jason and Chloe weren't doing so great, that she'd quit her job, that he was back on the dating app suspiciously fast for a newlywed. Then I heard from a friend of Chloe's that they'd separated. 16 months after their wedding, they were done. No announcement, no drama, just a slow-motion collapse under the weight of whatever fantasy they thought they'd built on top of our wreckage. And then, 3 years after my wedding, on a rainy Tuesday night, my phone buzzed. Jason Miller. I stared at the name for a long time, thought about letting it go to voicemail. Then I picked up. Hey, he said, his voice flat tired. It's been a while. Yeah, I said. It has. There was a pause, then he just dropped it. She left me. I said nothing. Took everything, he went on. Furniture, bank accounts, even the dog. Still, I stayed silent. I don't know where else to go, he said finally. I'm staying in this trashy motel off the highway. My credit's maxed out. I lost my job a few months ago. It's been bad, man. I knew what was coming before he said it. Can I crash with you for a bit, just until I get back on my feet? I let out a small laugh. I couldn't help it. Are you serious? I said. I'm not asking for much, just a couch. A few weeks max. You always said we were family, right? You hijacked my wedding, I said. That was your definition of family? That was years ago. And this is now, I snapped. You broke something that day, and now you're calling me like none of it happened? I'm willing to forgive you, he said suddenly. If you're still mad about what happened at my wedding, I get it, but I'm willing to move past it. I froze. Oh, wait. You're willing to forgive me? Yeah, he said, completely serious. I mean, you did kind of ruin our big moment too. Announcing your baby like that? You knew what you were doing. That's when I knew. He hadn't changed, not even a little. Even at rock bottom, he couldn't take responsibility, couldn't stop twisting everything to make himself the victim. I'm gonna say this once, Jason, I said, calm and cold. You're not welcome here. You're not my friend. You haven't been for a long time. You're really going to turn your back on me? He asked, stunned. I already did, I said, years ago. Then I hung up, and I blocked his number. That was the last time I heard his voice. It's been 5 years since my wedding. Sophie's in preschool now. Emily's talking about trying for another baby next year. We're happy, really, genuinely happy. Sometimes when I'm rocking Sophie to sleep or watching her run across the backyard with sticky hands and wild curls, I think about Jason, about how one selfish moment can ripple through a lifetime, how people can show you exactly who they are when the spotlight's not on them, but on you. He used to be my best friend. Now he's just a lesson I won't forget. And the peace I have now, it's worth every second it took to earn. If you made it this far, thanks for riding with me. If you love real messy emotional stories like this, go ahead and hit subscribe. There's always another confession waiting in the backseat.